Once upon a time, in a small cottage on the edge of a deep forest, there lived a man and a woman. For many years they had wished for a child, but God had not answered their prayers. Until finally, after years of waiting, the woman felt hope that they would soon have a baby. At the back of their house was a small window. When one looked out of it, one could see into a magnificent garden. It was full of the rarest flowers and herbs, smelling so sweet that it made one's head spin. But no one dared to enter that garden. It was surrounded by a high wall and belonged to a powerful sorceress named Gothel, whom the whole world feared. One day, the pregnant woman stood at the window, looking into the garden. She saw a bed of the freshest, greenest rampion, a herb also called Rapunzel. It looked so fresh that the woman felt a terrible craving to eat some. The craving grew day by day. Because she knew she could not have it, she began to waste away. She became pale and weak, looking as if she might die. "What is wrong with you, my dear wife? You look like a shadow." Wife: "Oh, husband, if I do not get some of that rampion from the garden behind our house, I shall die. I must have it, or I will not survive." The man loved his wife above all else. He said to himself, "I would rather face the sorceress than let my wife die." He waited for twilight. When it grew dark, he climbed over the high wall into the garden of Sorceress Gothel.
The man trembled with fear. He quickly pulled up a handful of rampion and rushed back to his wife. She made a salad out of it and ate it with delight. It tasted so good to her that the next day her craving was 3 times stronger. The man had no choice. He had to go into the garden again. He climbed the wall once more, but as soon as he landed on the ground, he froze in terror. Standing before him was Sorceress Gothel. "How dare you? How dare you climb into my garden and steal my rampion like a thief? You shall pay dearly for this." "Forgive me. Have mercy, noble lady. I only did it out of necessity. My wife is expecting a child and saw your salad. If she didn't get it, she would die." The sorceress frowned, but her anger subsided a little. She had an idea. "If it is as you say, I will allow you to take as much rampion as you wish, but on one condition. The child that your wife will bring into the world, you must give to me." "What? My child?" "It will be well treated. I will care for it like a mother, but it belongs to me. Promise me this, or you and your wife will die." The man was so terrified that in his fear, he promised anything. When the child was born, it was a beautiful baby girl. The sorceress appeared immediately. She named the child Rapunzel, after the herb, and took her away. Rapunzel grew and became the most beautiful child under the sun. She had hair like pure gold, fine as spun silk. When she was 12 years old, the sorceress decided she did not want to share her beauty with the world. "You are too precious for human eyes," she said. Gothel took Rapunzel by the hand and led her deep, deep into the forest where no human foot had ever stepped. The trees were so tall they blocked out the sun. It was silent and dim. In the middle of that forest stood a tower. It was tall, smooth, and had no doors, no stairs. Only at the very top was a small window. "Here you shall live, my child. Here you will be safe from the evil of this world. No one will find you here, only me." The sorceress lifted her up using magic. Rapunzel found herself in a small room. She saw only the sky and treetops. She cried and begged, but Gothel was unrelenting. She left her there and went away. Days and years passed. Rapunzel lived in the tower all alone. To keep from going mad with sadness, she sang. Her voice was so pure that birds stopped flying and sat on the window ledge to listen. When she wasn't singing, she braided her long, endless hair.
Every day she combed those golden strands, which grew and grew until they were 20 ells long.
The only person she saw was old Gothel. She came every day, stood under the tower, and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel unbraided her hair, wound it around the hook of the window, and let it fall. The heavy golden rope dropped to the ground. The sorceress grabbed it and climbed up. When she was up, Rapunzel asked her, "Mother, what is the world like down there? Is it as sad as it is here?" "Oh, my child, the world is full of wicked people, wars, and pain. Be glad you are here. Only I love you. Only I can protect you. Never wish to go down." Rapunzel believed her because she knew nothing else, but in her heart she felt something was missing.
A few years passed. Rapunzel grew into a woman as beautiful as the day. One day, a young prince was riding through the forest. He was hunting, but got lost and found himself in the clearing by the tower. He stopped his horse. He heard singing. It was a voice so sweet and mournful that it pierced straight to his heart. It was Rapunzel singing of her loneliness. "Who is singing? That is not the voice of a human. It must be an angel." The prince jumped off his horse and ran around the tower. He looked for a door, a gate, any entrance, but he found nothing, only smooth stones and ivy. Disappointed, he rode home, but the song wouldn't let him sleep. He returned every day, hid in the bushes, and listened. He fell in love with the voice without seeing the face. Once, while standing behind a tree, he saw Sorceress Gothel arriving. He crouched down and didn't make a sound. He heard the old woman call, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." He saw the golden stream of hair tumble out of the window, and the sorceress climbed up. "So that is the ladder. Good. If she can climb up, I will try my luck too." He waited until the next day. When dusk fell and the forest went quiet, he came to the tower. His heart was pounding. He imitated the sorceress's voice and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The hair fell down immediately. The prince grabbed it and climbed up. When he climbed through the window, Rapunzel screamed in terror and jumped back. She had never seen a man before, only old Gothel. She thought it was some monster her mother had told her about.
"Who are you? How did you get here? Go away. Do not be afraid, beautiful maiden. I am no monster. I am the one whose heart was enchanted by your song, so much that I had no peace until I saw you." The prince spoke so kindly, and his eyes were so sincere that Rapunzel lost her fear. He was young, handsome, and smiled at her. They talked long into the night. The prince told her about the world outside, about rivers, cities, and stars reflecting in the water. Rapunzel listened as if in a trance. When he asked if she would take him as her husband and leave with him, she looked at him and thought, "He will love me more than old Gothel." She placed her hand in his. "I would gladly go with you, but I don't know how to get down. I have no wings and I cannot jump. But listen, I have an idea. Every time you come, bring me a piece of strong silk. I will braid it and weave a ladder. When it is finished, I will fasten it to the window, climb down, and you will take me away on your horse. I will come every evening, my love, because the old woman comes during the day." And so began their secret love.
The prince came to Rapunzel every evening. The sorceress came only during the day, so she suspected nothing. Everything would have gone well if Rapunzel hadn't slipped up one day. As Gothel was climbing up, Rapunzel said without thinking, "Grandmother, how is it that you are so heavy? It only takes the young king's son a moment to be with me, but you—" Rapunzel froze. She realized what she had said.
The sorceress screamed in fury. "You wicked child, what did I hear? I thought I had hidden you from the whole world, and yet you have deceived me." In a fit of rage, she grabbed Rapunzel by her beautiful hair, wrapped it a few times around her left hand, snatched a pair of scissors with her right, and snip, snap. The golden braids fell to the floor. But that wasn't enough. The sorceress was so cruel that she took poor Rapunzel to a wasteland, a desert where nothing grew but thorns, and left her there in misery and grief. In the evening, the sorceress returned to the tower. She tied the cut braids to the hook and waited. When the prince called and climbed up, his beloved Rapunzel wasn't waiting there. Waiting there was the sorceress with eyes full of poison. "Aha! The little bird has come for his dove? The bird sings no more. The cat has taken her away and will scratch your eyes out too. You will never see Rapunzel again." The prince was beside himself with grief. In despair, he jumped from the tower. He saved his life, but he lost something else. He fell into thorns that pierced his eyes. He was blind.
The poor prince. The fall into the thorns saved his life, but took his sight. He wandered through the deep forest, blind and alone. He saw neither sun nor moon, only endless darkness. He ate only roots and berries he could feel. He slept on the hard ground, and his only companion was grief. But he did not weep for his eyes. He wept for the loss of his beloved wife. "Rapunzel, where are you? Forgive me for not protecting you." He wandered in misery and darkness for several years. His clothes turned to rags, his face aged with sorrow. He crossed many lands, mountains, and rivers, guided only by an invisible bond, until finally he reached the same wasteland where the sorceress had banished Rapunzel. Rapunzel lived there in poverty, but did not give up. She gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, and cared for them with love, even though they had nothing but a cave and a little food. Every day she sang to them the same song she used to sing to the prince in the tower. One day, as the prince stumbled among the rocks, he heard that voice. He stopped. His heart pounded. That voice! The voice that once led him to the tower! "That is her!" he cried, and ran towards the sound, even though he couldn't see the path, falling and getting up. Rapunzel saw him from afar. She recognized him, even though he was in rags and blind. "My prince!" she cried. She ran to him with the children and threw her arms around his neck.
"You are alive! I thought you were dead! Look what they have done to your eyes!" She hugged him and wept. 2 of her hot tears fell directly into his eyes, and a magic stronger than any sorcery happened. Those tears were so pure and full of love that they healed his injuries. The prince blinked. The darkness receded. He saw light. He saw the face of his Rapunzel, as beautiful as before, even with short hair and simple clothes. He saw his children smiling at him. "I can see! I can see you, Rapunzel! And I can see our children!" The prince led Rapunzel and the children out of the sad wasteland to his kingdom. The journey was long, but this time it was full of joy. When they arrived at the capital, the people cheered. Everyone thought the prince was dead, and now he returned with a beautiful wife and heirs. There was a great celebration. And Sorceress Gothel, when she saw that her spell was broken and that the 2 were happy, she shriveled up with rage until she was nothing but a pile of ash that the wind blew away. Rapunzel and the prince lived happily ever after, and nothing in the world ever separated them again. The end.